In the 12th century, a boy named Solomon ibn Gabirol is born in Malaga, Spain. The boy's Jewish father was an important figure in Cordoba, but political matters caused him to move to Malaga during a time known as the Jewish Golden Age in Moorish Spain. This period encapsulates when much of the Iberian Peninsula is under strict Muslim rule, but select political regimes allow for the inclusion of Jewish people, leading to the proliferation of Jewish culture. Gabirol's parents die when he is still just a child, and their immigration leaves him without any close relatives. To his benefit, he is taken in and protected by a political figure, Jekuthiel, who supports Jewish immigrants. As a part of this, Gabirol moves to Zaragoza, and even at a young age, begins writing influential Jewish poetry under the pen name Avicebron. Here he lives comfortably, never having to work for sustenance. In his youth and thereafter, Avicebron has an antisocial temperament, and the wit presented in his poetry causes controversy, garnering him enemies. He has a tendency to sarcastically mock powerful figures in his writing, and is described by peers to be a social misfit. Thankfully, Jekuthiel keeps him safe from those wishing to silence him. Under this protection, Avicebron continues to study many subjects, from geometry to philosophy. However, at the age of 17, he is forced to leave Zaragoza after Jekuthiel is assassinated via a political conspiracy. Avicebron's works also garner some fans, including Samuel ibn Nagrila, the top general to the King of Granada, who agrees to sponsor his poetry. For a time, he writes not only poetry, but also Neoplatonic philosophy, ethics, and satire. At first, Avicebron praises the general in his writings, but apparently cannot restrain the urge to lampoon his sponsor as the butt of various jokes. Thus, he and the general become estranged, causing Avicebron to lead the life of a wanderer. Even without a benefactor, Avicebron lives as a recluse, in no small part because of the painful illnesses that haunt him from his teenage years onward. This isn't to say he cannot interact with others, but in doing so, he never expresses emotion. After all, he looks upon the beautiful world God gave humans, and realizes how humans have defiled it with their senseless bloodshed and greed. He ultimately takes it upon himself to save the world by restoring it to the way God intended. Thus, he continues his writing, most specifically his writing of Jewish mysticism and Kabbalah, an endeavor to understand the true nature of God, the origin and structure of the universe, and the nature of souls. Kabbalists concern themselves with understanding Logos, divine wisdom, as the primordial archetype of the universe, essentially, how a divine entity or concept gives rise to the material world. In many ways, this study of Kabbalah is in itself a branch of thaumaturgy, magecraft, that deals in the process of creation. Some believe his writings make him the father of Kabbalah. In terms of practical application, Avicebron's studies allow him to create golems who serve as maids in his house to take care of chores. As such, he sinks even further into solitude. From years of writing on God's true nature, Avicebron develops an ultimate goal in life: to recreate the original human Adam, to reproduce God's miracle. It is ironic how a man who dislikes other humans becomes obsessed with creating a human. Of course, this isn't solely for the sake of humanity, but rather his own personal desire to unravel the mystery of how God created Adam and bestowed life to the universe. Avicebron's golems are simply a means to that end. He creates them using materials like jewels for organs and parchment applied with mercury for skin. Thus, his attempt to recreate Adam is through the creation of a giant golem that will act as a great king who will lead humans filled with hardship and suffering to the Garden of Eden once more. Sadly, this supreme golem is not something Avicebron is able to create during his lifetime. Instead, he is murdered by another poet, one who is jealous of Avicebron's talent for poetry. The killer buries his body beneath the roots of a fig tree, hoping no one will find out. Miraculously, the tree itself begins to produce delightfully sweet fruit, prompting others to investigate the cause. They dig up Avicebron's remains and proceed to identify and execute his murderer. While he has never been a hero in terms of combat or knightly prowess, Avicebron is considered by many to be an influential figure that served as an early catalyst for familiar magecraft and even the Renaissance. As such, he is recorded into the Throne of Heroes, along with his wish to one day complete his supreme golem. In the modern era, many declining or struggling mage families find themselves uniting under the collective clan of the Yggdrasilania. Of them is the House of Freyne, known for their engineering of dolls and golems. A young magus, Rocher, is born into this family and inevitably finds himself raised to the unique family's eccentric culture of valuing golems and the research of them more than the well-being of their creators. Thus, even though he is a child of the family, he is not raised or visited by his own parents, who are too busy furthering their research. Rather, Rocher is nursed by golems until he is of age to inherit his family's magic crest. They raise and educate him from birth, indoctrinating him into this golem-obsessed lineage. He's even forgotten what his parents look like, but distinctly recalls the faces of every golem that is cared for him. While he interacts with other humans and magi, he finds no enjoyment in it, and merely does so to procure resources. In his mind, speaking with a human is akin to speaking with a cat or a dog. Rather than using human behavior to base his creations off of, his baseline for understanding behavior comes from his creations. Despite his eccentric personality, or perhaps because of it, Rocher becomes famous in the field of golem creation by the age of 13. 2 months prior to the Great Holy Grail War in Trefus, Rocher is selected as a master of the Black faction, summoning Avicebron as the caster of Black. Avicebron is an exception to the rule when it comes to associating with other mages, since Rocher declares him teacher out of profound respect. Both he and his servant share similar reclusive tendencies, prioritizing their work over their interactions with others. Yet, because Avicebron is a renowned figure in golem magecraft, Rocher follows him around as a devoted apprentice. In return, Avicebron teaches and mentors Rocher. Truthfully, however, he has never been fond of children, and does not appreciate being dignified as one would a king. Rocher's infatuation is uncomfortable. In fact, Avicebron now dons a mask to obscure his sight, feeling that even eye contact with humans is too troublesome. Still, as a fellow golem creator, he allows Rocher to assist in his workshop. Just as in life, Avicebron yearns to realize his dream of creating Adam, and arranges for Darnik Prestone Yggdrasilania to gather all the old and ancient materials needed to build it, in exchange for producing golems for the Grail War. While some mage workshops serve as defensive bases, Avicebron's is primarily a factory for mass-producing golems, a result of his Kabbalistic techniques and the caster skills of territory creation and item construction. With this factory, he's able to produce 30 golems a day, resulting in over 1,000 of them before the war officially begins. This is phenomenal, as a mage in the modern era would require an entire year to produce even one. Part of this efficiency comes from utilizing some of these golems to assist in the workshop, much like the maids he constructed for his home and life. As opposed to homunculi, these golems are constructed from high-quality stone and bronze. Despite coming in various diverse forms, such as humanoids, spiders, or dragonflies, all of them move fluidly with brilliant craftsmanship. Avicebron's workshop is also responsible for constructing the steed of Vlad III, a horse golem made from iron and bronze with eyes of ruby and sapphire. A percentage of the golems can even perform magecraft, using magic circuits harvested from the Black faction's homunculi. The budget to simply construct the workshop itself costs enough to bankrupt an average magus 10 times over. Regardless, so long as he is supplied with resources, he can continue producing combat golems that are equivalent in power to E-rank servants. While they cannot readily defeat servants in the Grail War, they can slow them down and are more than capable of fighting average mages, triumphing with large bodies and stone fists. Beyond their construction, Avicebron also has precise control of the golems, using numerology, the mysticism contained within words, numbers, and symbols. A numerology in Kabbalism called Notarikon, allows him to issue multiple commands to various golems through a single aria. In addition, he can directly control up to 10 golems at a time, one for each of his fingers. To restrain an enemy, Avicebron can order the golems to turn to a fluid form, envelop their targets, and harden around them. By the time of the war, Adam, the Golem Keter Malkuth, Royal Crown, the Light of Wisdom, named after one of Avicebron's publications, is nearly complete. It only requires a strong core. In other words, the magic circuits of a powerful mage capable of supplying the golem with vast amounts of mana. Thus, to manufacture this core, Avicebron monitors the Igdomillennia homunculi, hoping to use one with high potential. Eventually, a candidate becomes apparent, a homunculus later known as Sieg. Avicebron himself is not a servant who's particularly skilled in combat. Rather, he relies on his creations to carry on fighting for him. He has some noteworthy skills. For example, through his familiars, he is able to scry, to project images through the flames of a menorah. With it, he can monitor and record events from the perspective of his golems. This is used to remotely survey the battlefield. His skill, Restful Fig Tree, allows him to communicate the results of his surveillance to his team. His most important creation, Golem Keter Malkuth, serves as his noble phantasm, even though it is yet to be completed. Regardless, once it is summoned, it stands at over 15 meters tall. Its existence as the first human, an example of divine creation, allows it to exist as an autonomous reality marble that expands as Eden with every contact it makes with the ground. Every step it takes brings forth prolific growth and plant life, in turn making the golem larger until it exceeds 1,000 meters. It is blessed by the earth, such that no attack can harm it, so long as its feet remain in contact with the ground. When the war begins, Avicebron uses his golems to counter the forces sent by the Mages Association, as well as in halting the advance of select servants. With his help, the Igdomillennia clan is able to restrain and capture Spartacus, the Berserker of Red, and turn him to their side. Eventually, Avicebron's ideal homunculus manages to escape and, in pursuit, earns the heart of Siegfried via sacrifice. Now, more than ever, he desires Sieg to be the core of his golem, but is denied by Jeanne d'Arc. Thus, the fighting continues. He is put in a dangerous situation, being tasked with convincing Spartacus to fight for the Black Faction. One strike from the Berserker will instantly kill him. To his good fortune, he is able to convert Spartacus and release him onto the battlefield. On his way back to the castle, Avicebron comes across Rocher, wondering why he's outside where it's dangerous. Rocher proclaims he's admiring their golems in action. In this moment, Avicebron is torn between Rocher being an ideal pupil and his lack of concern with humans. The tide of battle changes drastically when Shiro Amakusa Tokisada of the Red Faction manages to steal the Greater Grail with the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. The remaining black servants infiltrate the gardens and are surprised to learn Shiro's ambitions of saving humanity. During the upset, Avicebron steps forward and volunteers to join the Red Faction. His only condition is that Rocher be spared from the fighting. Shiro interprets this as compassion, but in truth is merely a means to an end for Avicebron. Switching sides allows him to be free from his master's influence, and can thus complete his golem, with Rocher as the core. He assists Shiro in fending off rival servants, and promptly instructs Rocher to meet him at the lake, where their golem is being kept. Rocher has no idea his servant has already betrayed him, and is completely vulnerable and naive as he draws out the golem. At the last moment, Avicebron feeds Rocher to Keter Malkuth, which absorbs the young boy as its core. Now complete, Avicebron rides his golem toward the Igdomillennia castle, ordering it to destroy everything in its path, creating paradise in its wake. Of course, the remaining servants of Black, as well as Mordred from the Red faction, aim to stop the golem. Charon, the Archer of Black, shoots Avicebron twice, killing him easily. Avicebron remarks how killing him won't stop the golem, and that even though it is unfortunate to be killed as a result of naive human anger, he is plenty satisfied, having finished his creation. As a testament to his worship, he becomes nourishment for the golem and instructs it to grant humanity salvation. Just like that, Avicebron is no more, and Keter Malkuth continues in his absence. The golem is seemingly unstoppable, but the team of first-rate servants at the scene devise a method to win. Astolfo, with his Trap of Argalia, fells the giant and, with its feet off the ground, is now vulnerable. Charon exposes the golem's weak point with a powerful arrow, allowing for both Sieg and Mordred to finish it off. In the end, the man who yearned to harness God's divinity attempted to do so in opposition to the humans that divinity was credited for creating. As a result, his form of salvation was rejected by the same humans he avoided. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please like, comment, and subscribe to OtakuDaiKun for more anime lists, reviews, discussions, lore videos, live streams, and the Holy Waifu Wars. If you're interested in seeing this channel grow, please consider becoming a patron or donating in a super chat during any of my weekly live streams. Also, feel free to check the description for my social media profiles, including an ever-growing Discord full of fans of anime and the Fate series. Until next time, celebrate your fandom!